On? Okay, awesome. All right. Hi. Enter scene crawling. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Mystic Fitness Hot Flow 9 a.m. this Monday morning. For everybody joining on Instagram and Facebook and in the studio, thank you so much for coming in. We are live streaming and in the studio every morning at 9 a.m. So please come by, see us, and come visit us. We're having in-person classes as well. It's beautiful, it's warm, and thank you guys all for coming in to the actual class. Such a great way to start your week. Um, we're relying on kind donations through our Venmo account, as well as accepting checks just mailed to the studio. So please consider that if you enjoy these classes, and thank you so much for tuning in. So we're going to start just laying down on our backs today. Take your time to get comfortable. Set up anything you might think you need, like a blanket, a block, bolster, strap. Take your time. For those of you at home, close a window, put on a fan, put the cat away, whatever you got to do, and start to dig out a little time for yourself. And it's just this space that we give ourselves to just arrive in the beginning of practice. You might close your eyes. And I would suggest, just if you feel comfortable, maybe placing a hand on your belly or the chest and kind of just tuning into your breath. Noticing the rise and fall of your belly, the chest, letting each in-breath fill you up with fresh morning air, and each exhale bring you a little bit more into the present moment, becoming a little bit more grounded. Just see if you can trace the flow of breath coming in and out. Reminder that this breath work is the basis of your practice. You're more than welcome to return to this seemingly simple but really intricate practice of following your breath at any moment in your practice, any moment throughout your day. Feel free to return to this feeling of spaciousness here. But if you feel like you want to incorporate some asanas, some postures into your practice, then you might begin to wake up the body a little bit with maybe some wiggling of the fingers and the toes, and maybe kind of a full body stretch overhead. Whatever feels good, just kind of asking your body what it wants. Instead of just assuming that it's going to be like every other day, just kind of asking yourself and just being curious. And maybe if you haven't already, taking a big stretch overhead, letting everything expand long. Inhale. And on the exhale, grab your left wrist with your right hand, drag it over to the right. Little banana shape here. You might cross your left ankle over your right. Just making a little bind here. Beginning to get into the side body. And then inhale, expand everything long, dragging the right wrist over to the left now, maybe crossing the right ankle over the left. Noticing the opening of the rib cage, the side body. And then returning to center, letting everything go long. Inhale. Then on the exhale, you can bend your knees if it feels comfortable to give them a little hug, a little squeeze into the chest. Maybe a little rocking side to side, massaging out the low back, just whatever feels good. And then when you feel ready, let your left leg go long on the mat. Take your right knee into your chest, give it a squeeze, inhale. And on the exhale, press the heel towards the sky, toes towards shin. Again, inhale, pull the right knee into the chest. And on the exhale, press the heel towards the sky. One more time, inhale, pull the knee into the chest. Exhale, press the heel towards the sky. Pause here for a moment. You might interlace your hands behind the right thigh. Take a moment and just take some ankle circles here. drawing circles in the sky with your toes a couple times in one direction and then taking your time to take it to the other direction as well. When you feel ready, switching sides, dropping the right leg long and then pulling the left knee into the chest, taking a big inhale, and then on the exhale, pressing the heel towards the sky. Again, moving with your breath, pulling it into your chest and pressing the heel away. Getting into the hamstrings a little bit here, lubricating the hip joints. And next time that left heel is in the sky, take a moment and just circle out the ankle a little bit, see how it feels on the calf muscles. This little baby inversion here just for the left leg. Couple circles in each direction with the ankle. And then letting it go long, giving yourself a moment to just kind of let that fresh blood circulate through the hips. And then bend your knees, place the soles of your feet on the mat, and begin to just let your knees drop side to side. This is where that intuitive yoga kind of comes into play. You know those little spots that you want to hang out a little longer or come back to. Just kind of letting your knees rock side to side here, seeing what feels good for you. You might drop the neck in the opposite direction of the knees. And then next time you're in the center and your feet are planted, begin to drive into the heels and just picking the glutes up off the mat just by a couple inches. And then releasing back down slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Again, driving into the heels, picking the glutes up off the mat for a little mini glute bridge, and then releasing back down one vertebrae at a time. We'll do a couple more like this, just moving at your own pace, really driving through the heels, feeling the weight in the shoulder blades as you pick up your glutes and squeeze at the top, and then lowering down slow and with control. Beginning to activate the glutes muscles here, the low back a little bit. And then when you feel ready, just take a moment and you might come into a fetal position, roll onto your side before making your way up to a seated position looking towards the top of your mat. Take a moment here, your eyes might close. Just take a breath. You don't have to tune into any specific intention. Just be here. You don't have to conceptualize much. Just being present is plenty. Again, this type of breath work is always available for you at any point, but if you'd like to continue with the postures, you might find your way into a tabletop position, stacking shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. And when you're here, find some arches and curls on the inhale. Drop your belly as your chest and backbones rise. Exhale, curl the spine, press the floor away from you, tuck the chin. Moving back and forth with your arches and curls here. Cat-cow. Moving with your breath. Instead of using the postures to move the breath, allow the breath to move the postures. And you might begin to make this a little bit more fluid, so taking some hip circles, drawing some big circles on your mat with your hips, letting your hips rock side to side, maybe kind of press forward and back. It might feel good to open up the knees a little bit to get into the inner thigh and hamstrings, whatever feels good. Just giving yourself that time for this fluid, organic movement. And then you might enjoy pressing your hips all the way back onto your heels, finding a little bit of a child's pose here, stretching your arms forward, releasing your forehead down onto the mat or a block or a blanket at home. wherever you can release your forehead so that way you can just really ground down. It might even feel good to put a bolster underneath your belly or in between your thighs for a little bit of support. However, you're getting comfortable so that you can fully enjoy this posture. And then once you're there, just allow yourself to really ground down. You might tent the fingers a little bit and allow the shoulders to open up. And then if you have your fingers tented, take a big inhale, and then on the exhale, begin to walk your hands a little to the left, maybe off of your mat, kind of driving your hips back into the right, getting a little side bend in your child's pose here. And then take a big inhale, center everything back out, reach long in front of you. And then on the exhale, walking your hands over to the right, sending your hips in the opposite direction. Taking it back through center, big inhale. And on the exhale, press up through your tabletop position. Taking any kind of side bends or movements that might feel good for the body here. And then if you'd like to, take your left leg, begin to lift it up behind you. It's just a simple leg lift here, and then lower it back down using your core nice and slow. And then again, kicking that left heel up behind you, squeezing behind you, and then lowering back down. We'll have 10 of these. We have about 8 more. Just moving nice and slow, crunching underneath the body, and then kicking out with the heel and squeezing at the top. Moving with your breath, there's no rush at all. See if you can incorporate your breath work into these movements here. See if you can be in this mind-body connection where you're present with the muscles as you move through these postures. Got about 2 more. Take your time. And then releasing the left knee down onto the mat. Take a moment. Might open up the heels and kind of open up the knees, kind of shake it out a little bit. And this time with the left knee, pick it up but out to the side laterally and squeeze at the top. A little fire hydrant pose here, and then lowering back down. Again, lifting up to the side and squeezing, and then lowering back down. You'll feel this in a couple different places, but these subtle differences in the postures can really help us understand all these tiny little intricate muscles that surround our bigger glutes muscles. Maybe as you're lifting your leg out to the side, you choose to float your right hand, bending at the elbow, placing the hand behind the ear. And then maybe when you lower the knee down, you crunch elbow and knee underneath your body and then expand back out. So it's a fire hydrant with a little bit of a crunch going on. Wherever you are, take your time. We'll do 2 more. And then releasing everything down to your tabletop, taking a moment, shaking it out. Might feel good to press into child's, whatever feels good. Before taking it to the other side, we'll move with the right leg this time, kicking the right leg back behind you for a little glute kick, and then bringing it in towards center, crunching. Maybe it's an inhale, you pull it in, and an exhale, you press it away. Just playing with what feels good for your body, seeing what pace feels good. Some people like to pause at the top and kind of pulse and kick. Some people want more of the crunch, so they're moving really fast. Just see what feels good for your body. There's really no right and no wrong. Just give yourself a couple more breaths here to explore how this feels. Last one. And then we'll take it to some fire hydrants, bringing the right knee out when you feel ready to the side laterally and squeezing, and then releasing back down. You might incorporate that bent left arm and then crunch underneath the body. Whatever feels good for you. We'll do about 5 more. No rush at all. Unless you hate these, in which case, yeah, couple more. And then release everything down. Take a nice Couple of hip circles here. Your glutes should feel pretty activated at this point, nice and warmed up, safe for the hip joints. And then, if you feel ready, you might use your abs and your hands on your hips to lift you up to your knees. And then if you have a blanket at home or a block for underneath your knees, you might even fold your yoga mat a little bit to provide some support for your knees if it doesn't feel good. And then take a moment, stamp your left foot out to the side laterally. If it feels better to kind of have the knee bent for a little bit of support, but if it feels all right, extend it out laterally. Place your left hand to the outside of your left thigh for a little bit of support. Make sure your spine is nice and long. On the inhale, reach your right hand up, and on the exhale, fold over that left leg. You can choose to just hold this static. You might like to swing the right arm around a little bit so you can feel the rib cage open, those obliques open up, getting into the shoulders. Might feel really good to just kind of hold and pull, whatever feels good. Giving yourself a few more seconds here to really get into that side body. And then keeping your left leg where it is, take your hands down like you're in a little tabletop position. And see how it feels to take that right hand you were just swinging around. On an inhale, pull it up towards the sky. And then on the exhale, cross it underneath your body. You might even tap that right shoulder down on the mat. Might feel good to press the hips a little bit more back. Wherever you are, there's layers to it. As long as you feel like it's productive and is warming you up, you're in the right place. Couple more breaths here. And then releasing everything out back towards tabletop. You can kind of shake, shake, shake. Let the head shake yes and no. And then coming up onto your knees when you feel ready, taking it to the other side, letting the right leg go long. Same thing, a little bit of support with the right hand on the thigh. And then take with a nice long spine, take an inhale, left arm goes up towards the sky. And then on the exhale, fold over that right leg. See the subtle differences on each side as you might begin to windmill that hand around. See how it feels. Moving with your breath, just staying connected in the present moment with that. And then taking your way back to that tabletop position, keeping your right leg where it is. And then with that same windmilly left hand, taking an inhale, sending it up towards the sky. And on the exhale, crossing underneath your body, possibly tapping that left shoulder down. The hips might send back a little bit to make this a little bit more comfy. Whatever feels good for you here. Maybe just your left elbow is on the ground. And then making your way back up to a tabletop here. Kind of even everything out. If you had anything underneath your knees, you might kind of clear out your mat a little bit. Maybe some cat-cow. And then from our tabletop, we're just going to stamp our left foot forward. So we're in a kind of a low lunge here with the right knee down. And just take a moment here. Make sure your knee and your foot are kind of like hip distance apart. Placing your hands to the inside of your left foot here. Find a little bit of a lizard pose, but kind of a more fluid lizard. So feel free to move around. Kind of rock that knee out to the side. See what feels good. You might come onto your elbows if you like to just hold that static lizard. But wherever you are, just really getting into that left hip here. Opportunity in this little hamstring quad stretch. I always really feel it in the front of my right hip. So really interesting pose to play around with. Giving yourself that room. And then pressing into that left foot, extending the left leg long. Keeping a little micro bend in the left knee to protect it. It might not go completely long, but a little opportunity for a half split here. hamstring opener. You might tap the forehead down to the left shin. Whatever feels good. There's no right or wrong. Whatever degree you're in, you might kind of go back and forth from the bent knee to the straight knee, giving yourself that time to open up the left hips here. And then when you feel ready, taking it to the other side, stamping the right foot forward, bending at the knee, giving yourself some time here to feel out the lizard, the variations that exist, the subtle differences on each side. And just kind of make note to yourself. It's interesting as we explore these poses in our bodies because every day is different, each year is different. Things improve, things change. And then driving into that right foot, extending the right leg long. Opportunity here for a hamstring stretch. Maybe the forehead taps to the right shin. And then taking your time to come back into that tabletop. From here, find a nice neutral spine. So not too arched, not too curled. Curl the toes underneath. And then using your abs, just lift your knees up maybe an inch off the mat. A little bear pose here, beginning to feel the core activation. And then from here, pull your hips up and back, straighten your legs, downward facing dog. Take a moment, your first down dog of the practice. You might shake your head yes, shake it no. You might walk the dog, bending one knee at a time. Maybe just holding it static is what feels really good, this inversion posture. This, as well as child's pose, are always available to you to come back to, your base. And then shift forward to a plank position from your downward facing dog, stacking shoulders over wrists. And just take some back and forth presses from your down dog to your plank. Noticing the alignment, the engagement. And next time you're in that plank posture, drop your knees down. From the knees to the crown of your head is one straight line. Begin to lower down to the mat, keeping your elbows into your sides, one vertebrae at a time. And then pressing into the shoelace sides of your feet, begin to use your upper back, tent your fingers a little bit, find a baby cobra here. Inhale. And on the exhale, drive through the hands, pushing through your tabletop, curl your toes, find your downward facing dog. Couple resetting breaths here. Take a big inhale, and on the exhale, shift forward. You might tap your knees down, you might not. Exhale lowers you down to the mat. Either find that baby cobra on the inhale, or find a nice up dog, shoelace sides of the feet, pressing into the mat. And on the exhale, curling the toes, pressing back, downward facing dog. Awesome. Taking a moment here, resetting. Take a nice in-breath. On the out-breath, walk or hop to the top of your mat. Find a nice forward fold here. Keep your toes touching. Bend your knees. On the inhale, sweep your arms up. Find a little bit of a chair pose. On the inhale, allow your left hand to come to the inside of your left thigh. Sweep your right arm open towards the sky. Moving like this with your right arm, allowing it to come down and then sweep up back towards the sky. One more time, allowing that right arm to come down, swoop up towards the sky. Taking it to the other side now, letting the right forearm come to the inside of the right thigh and letting the left arm do its thing. You might not be twisting as far up as reaching towards the sky, maybe just a little twist with the hand on the hip. Whatever feels good here, just kind of this flowy opportunity here to twist and see what feels right. And then from your chair pose, take your hands, reach them back behind you. You might interlace them and kind of pull them down and away. A little mini back bend here. Inhale, and then on the exhale, take a nice forward fold, keeping the hands interlaced, feeling that extra weight of the bind behind you in your forward fold. And then releasing your arms down to the mat. Inhale, find a halfway lift, long spine, hands to shin. Exhale, plant your hands down, step your feet back, and then on the exhale, lowers down to the mat. Inhale, you'll find an up dog or a baby cobra. Exhale, curl the toes, downward facing dog. Awesome. Take an inhale and send your right leg up towards the sky. Exhale, curl the knee into the chest. Inhale, send it back up towards the sky. Exhale, curl the knee towards the chest, stamp the right foot towards the right thumb, and take a high lunge. If you have weights at home, you might like to use a little set of dumbbells for this. If not, no worries at all. It's still just as hard and strengthening. So take your hands to your shoulders, hinge forward, and then as if you have weights in your hand, kick your hands back like you're doing a little tricep punch and squeeze. Pull them back into your chest and press them out and squeeze. Even without weights, doing this motion and squeezing at the top, you will feel it in your triceps. Next time you pull your hands into your chest, begin to pour your weight into your right foot. Take your little imaginary weights and then skin them down your right leg for a little single leg deadlift. Pulling them back up, stamping the left foot down, pulling your hands into your chest, and then taking a tricep kick. So it's a tricep kick, hands to chest, single leg deadlift, landing back, tricep kick. Moving back and forth. Taking your single leg deadlift up, up, kicking back with your hands, moving at your pace, your breath, seeing if you can find a little bit of a flow, what feels good here. It requires balance, it requires strength, it requires coordination, it requires memorization. So go easy on yourself, go slow. These deadlifts and these tricep kicks, you're using your arms, your core, your back, your legs, wherever you are. One last little opportunity here to take a deadlift. Next time you're in that tricep high lunge shape, take a nice high lunge, let everything spread up, and then drop the back heel down, find a little bit of a goddess pose. Toes out, heels in, stacking knees over ankles. I'm just gonna turn, oh, you can see good. Okay, cool. Opportunity here to maybe find a mudra, place your hands on your heart like you did in the beginning of class, just feel your breath. And then take your hands to your hips, straighten your legs, and then let it all go, forward fold. Catch your breath here. Maybe walk your hands side to side. See what feels good. You might kind of bend into each knee, getting a little bit of skandasana. Just see what feels good. Maybe just holding it completely still is what feels best. And then taking it towards your left leg now, facing the back of the studio, finding a little bit of this high lunge shape here. Lifting up and then pulling your imaginary weights to your chest, hinging forward, and then kicking back and squeezing with the triceps. Taking a couple of these here just to kind of activate those triceps, making sure the feet are nice and strong. And then when you feel ready, if you'd like to, incorporating the single leg deadlifts into these motions, shifting forward, skimming the shin, landing back, and then doing a little tricep kick. These single leg deadlifts, landing, and then tricep kickbacks. Require a lot of balance. If at any point any of this is too much, you know what you can do. Focus on your breath, focus on you, do what feels right. Ultimately, all your own practice. But wherever you are, one more little round. And then from facing the back of the studio, you'll when next time you're in that high lunge, inhale, let everything go up towards the sky. Exhale, drop that right heel down, turning back towards this left side of the studio, finding a goddess pose here. And we're just going to let the heat build a little bit. You've now done the equal amount of weight in both legs. Really feel the weight driving through your heels. Sink a little lower. Chest is proud. Imagine I'm pulling a string out through the crown of your head. It's just giving you energy. You're driving into the earth for that groundedness. You 3 more breaths. And then lifting everything up, taking a moment, let that burn, kind of just release. Take your hands to your hips and then take a nice forward fold. If last time you moved around a lot, maybe see what it's like to just stay static. If you stayed still last time, see what moving back and forth can do. One more breath wherever you are. And then walking your hands to frame your right foot, stepping your right foot back into that 3-legged dog that we began with, shifting forward, maybe keeping the right leg lifted. Exhale lowers you down to the mat. Inhale, heart bursts open for a baby cobra or an up dog. Exhale, curl the toes, press the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Awesome. Again, right leg on an inhale, it'll lift up. Exhale, curl the knee to the chest, step the right foot towards right thumb. Lifting up for a high lunge here. My hair is crazy. Inhale, and on the exhale, press your hands to your heart center. Take a little fold towards that bent knee, crossing maybe the left elbow over that right knee. A little bit of a twist here. And now grab your right wrist with your left hand, pull it with you, drag it all the way back to the back of the studio, extending that right leg long, sky archer. On the exhale, let your right hand free, drag it forward, 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 even beyond your toes, and then hinge at the hip. Let your right hand land on your right shin, left hand going long towards the sky. You might even float that right hand a little bit. Use your core. Big in-breath. And then on the out-breath, press through your right heel. Drag everything up sky to the sky. Take a nice star shape here. Just everything go long. Take up a lot of space. Fill your lungs. And then on the exhale, begin to turn towards your left leg. Now finding that high lunge shape. Taking some space here. Inhale. Exhale, press your hands to your heart center and twist, fold over that left knee. Maybe that right elbow hooks the left knee. Big breath here. And then grab that left wrist, pull it with you, extend that left leg long. Find a sky archer here, reaching towards the back. Inhale, fill your lungs, and then on the exhale, let that left arm go long. Forward, 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 until it hinges, catches your left shin as your right arm reaches up towards the sky. Let your right hand stretch out, take a lot of space. You might float that left foot a little bit. Keep a micro bend in that left knee to protect it. Big breath in. Exhale, press everything up, find that same star shape again. Take a lot of space here. Maybe even a little back bend. And then turn towards the front of the studio, frame your right foot, send the right foot back. Vinyasa. Exhale, lowers you down. Inhale, heart bursts open. Exhale, curl the toes, downward facing dog. Just taking your down dog here for a couple of breaths, maybe even dropping the knees and finding a little bit of a child's pose, whatever is resetting for you. You know your body, you know your practice. Awesome. And then making your way back to down dog. Take a nice big inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees. Either walk your hands to meet your feet or float a little bit to the top of your mat. Take a big inhale. Reach up towards the sky. Exhale, pull the hands to the heart. With your feet hip distance, take your hands, bend your elbows, place them behind your ears like we did in those little crunches in the beginning. And just with your feet hip distance, I'll just turn sideways for the camera. Begin to hinge at the hips and just reach forward enough until your spine is straight. And then driving through the heels, pick yourself back up and squeeze. That's it. It's called a good morning. A little variation of a deadlift. Exhale and squeeze. So you're hinging at the hips till about the halfway point with a nice flat back. And then you'll feel the hamstrings kind of light up as you drive through the heels. Pick yourself up, squeeze your glutes at the top. And then lowering back down. These are called good mornings. They're a really nice variation of a deadlift because your hands are out of the equation, so you're not using any of your arm strength to pull up a weight or anything like that. It's all hamstrings. See if you can incorporate some breath work here once again. Maybe it's an inhale as you lower down and kind of fill your lungs, and then maybe it's a big exhale as you drive through the heels and squeeze. Whatever feels good. Wherever you are, 5 more. If you don't like these, I suggest going slower. I suggest not going as far down. If you do like them, I suggest holding some weights in your hands at home. Last one. And squeeze at the top. And while we're standing, we'll take this opportunity and take some standing lateral leg lifts. So shake everything out. Let your hands and shoulders and back even out. And then take your hands to your hips. Begin to place your weight into your right foot. And then picking the left leg up, just kick it out left. Just raising it a couple inches off the mat. And then lowering back down. These really don't look hard, but they're hard. They're not fun. Squeezing at the top and then lowering back down. I'll do about 20 of these. It requires a lot of balance. Sometimes a slight bend in the left knee makes it a little bit easier. If you're at home or in the studio and you have like a resistance block or a band at all, these can work really well. But it's just mostly driving through that right standing foot as you squeeze the left glute out. Again, seeing if you can incorporate some fluid breath work into this. Moving nice and slow, taking your time. Do about 10 more. Between the single leg deadlifts that we did earlier and these, you're really honing in on these glutes muscles, doing specific work for each leg, and it's just so important to move nice and slow. We'll do 2 more wherever you are, and then taking it to the other side whenever you feel ready, taking your weight into your left foot, giving yourself a moment, kind of shaking it out, and then beginning to raise that right leg out to the side laterally. Maybe your hands are on your hips, maybe they're kind of more in your chest. There's really no right or wrong. You might just be kicking the heel out a little bit. You might be going pretty far out there. As long as you feel like you're feeling that productive burning. We'll do about 10 more. Focusing in, noticing where your attention is, where your energy is, and then releasing back down. Taking a moment, kind of shaking it all out, seeing what feels right, wrong. And since we've done so much balance, I would be remiss if I did not give us an opportunity for bow. So what we'll do next is placing your weight into that right foot, beginning to pull the left knee, bending the left knee and pulling the left foot behind you. You might catch it with your hand a couple inches below the ankle, taking your knees, your thighs together to protect your knees. Take an inhale, extend the right hand up above you. And on the exhale, you might begin to hinge a little bit forward, letting that right hand reach in front of you while kicking back into your left hand simultaneously. I'll turn for the camera. Feeling that minute shaking in that right ankle, those tiny little feet muscles getting stronger. If you come out of the posture, there's nothing wrong at all. That's yoga. You take your time, find your way back into it. You might find yourself kicking really, really hard for this aesthetic posture, but losing the integrity. So take a moment, check out your hips, see if they're straight, see if you're kicking. One more breath. And then let everything go. Find your center. Slowly, layer by layer, unfold. Take a moment, catch your breath before taking it to the other side. Take your time getting there. There's layers to these postures. They're all productive. There's no right or no wrong. And really, no start and no end to yoga. So take your time. I'm just turning sideways for the camera, but you guys do whatever feels comfortable for you. If you have like a strap at home, that might feel good to use behind your right foot as well. Really see if you're kicking into that right leg, extending the left leg long. One more big breath, fill your lungs. And then on the exhale, layer by layer, let everything go. If you feel ready, finding your way back towards center. Take a big inhale, let everything go long. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, stretch up, take a little back bend even, just a mini back bend here. And on the exhale, pull your knees, your hands into your chest, taking a little forward fold, hinging at the hips. Let it all go. Inhale, halfway lift, long back. Exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back. Lowers you halfway down. Inhale, your heart bursts open. Up dog or baby cobra. And exhale, press the floor away from you, hips up and back for downward facing dog. This time, inhale, pull your left leg up into the sky. Exhale, curl your knee into your chest, step your left foot towards your left thumb. Raise yourself into your high lunge here. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center, twist, hook that right elbow over your left knee. Inhale, grab your left wrist, pull it back, sky archer. Exhale, allow that left hand to reach forward, tip, tip, tip until find your triangle. Inhale, pull that left wrist with you, sky archer. And exhale, frame your left foot. take a moment here in this little runner's lunge. Stamp your right foot forward. Find a yogi squat. Your heels are in, your toes are out, taking up about the size of your yoga mat, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Find a little bit of a yogi squat here, using your elbows to drive your knees away, using your glutes to keep you lifted. Holding here for a moment, maybe even closing your eyes. And then letting your right foot stay where it is, sending your left leg back behind you, rising into a little runner's lunge. Inhale, exhale, twist over that right knee. Inhale, pull the right wrist with you back, straighten that right leg, sky archer. Exhale, let that right hand free, tip it forward, find your triangle. Inhale, find that sky archer once again, pulling everything up. And then on the exhale, framing your right foot, stamping your left foot up this time, finding a little bit of a yogi squat once again. Using your elbows to press your knees away from each other. Imagine your elbows weren't there and you were still actively pressing your knees away from each other, squeezing your glutes. Take a big breath, drive through your heels, begin to lift all the way up to standing. Squeeze at the top and lower back down, squat. We'll do about 20 of these. So move slow, move at your pace, see what feels good. I'll turn sideways for the camera. More or less space in between your feet, try it on. Take a moment when you're at the bottom of your squat, notice your alignment, see if your knees are stacked over your ankles. Maybe moving kind of fast and low through the squats works best. Maybe you like to go all the way lowest that you can, moving really slow. Whatever feels good for your practice, your body today. Maybe just one squat and just holding it feels really good. Maybe a couple of them with even a little bit of a hop at the top. Wherever you are, I'll give you the room for about 5 more. Awesome. And next time you're in that yogi squat, allow your hands to plant. Step your feet back. Find a little bit of a plank. Holding your plank here for a couple of seconds. Your shoulders stacked over your wrists. Imagine my hands are in between your shoulder blades and you're pressing them away. Give you 5 more breaths here. And then take your time, drop your knees. Find your way onto your left side, laying down like you're kind of a lounging cat on your left side. Place your left elbow underneath your left shoulder. Take a moment, look at your body's alignment, see if you can get your body nice and straight. Turn sideways for this. And we'll take some side plank dips here. So stacking your feet on top of each other, placing your right hand to your right hip, and then driving through your left hip, lifting your hips up off the mat by a couple inches, and then tapping them back down. Again, lifting, driving them up, squeezing, and then lowering back down. These are really hard, and there are so many layers to it. So even if all you do today is set up the alignment and maybe pick yourself up an inch, that is success. Seriously. Give yourself, 20 seconds here to just play around, see what feels good. Squeeze at the top, lower back down. Just moving with your body. You might extend the right arm up towards the sky. And if you're curious where the power is coming from to lift you up, next time you're lifted, take a moment, reach your right hand, feel your left obliques. They're going to be on fire. That's what that is. 5 more seconds wherever you are. Maybe you're pulsing up and down. Maybe you're just holding it. 2 more. And then releasing everything down. Take an opportunity here to switch to the other side. Now, right elbow stacked under right shoulder. Setting up the alignment. Like a couple of sweaty, lazy yoga cats. And stacking everything. And then beginning to drive through the elbow and the heels, picking your body up, squeezing, and then lowering back down. I'll turn again for the camera. Yeah, real opportunity to reach and grab those obliques. Like I didn't even know I had those muscles until I had this posture. So feel it. Thank your body for even just showing up. Even if you're listening to my cues and you're setting up the alignment, you're farther than you were before you started. So there's no right, there's no wrong. See what feels good here. Wherever you are, I give you 10 more seconds. Play around. These little dips. So strengthening. Awesome. And then you can release out of that. Take your opportunity, roll onto your back here. And just catch your breath. Maybe bending the knees, planting the soles of the feet onto the mat. Maybe letting your arms kind of go long. A lot of shoulder work in those plank and side plank dips. So catching your breath, just kind of being in awe of what your body can do. And now, if you feel ready, you might, with your legs extended up towards the sky, toes pointing towards your shin, take your hands, put your palms together, and then just kind of reach up towards the left shin, tap with your fingers, and then towards the center, reaching up in between your shins, and then over to the right. And just moving back and forth like this, kind of reaching up. So these are like toe touch crunches, but I don't know who can touch their toes without bending their knees. So I kind of just consider these like you're just reaching up towards your shins. But hey, if you're touching your toes, that's awesome. I love these too because you can feel your obliques. It's not just you're reaching up straight, you're incorporating that side to side motion, which means your spine is getting stronger as well. 20 more seconds wherever you are. I hope you feel the burn in the nicest way possible. I really mean that. Giving yourself 10 more seconds here. Saying hello to your breath, hello to your abs. Good morning. And then releasing everything long. Whatever feels good for you, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's just your full body just melts down totally. As long as you're catching your breath. Awesome. Maybe you bend the knees, plant the soles of the feet, and take a little mini glute bridge to kind of stretch out the abs. And then when you feel ready, interlace your fingers behind your head, bending at the elbows. See if you can pick your shoulder blades up off the mat. And then beginning to take some bicycle crunches here, tapping your right elbow to your left knee, and then switching, tapping your left elbow to your right knee. The easier these get is the more your shoulders are on the mat. So if your shoulder blades are completely lifted off the mat, these are going to hurt a lot. The more you let your shoulder blades release down, the less you'll feel it. That's my hack if you hate these. Or if you want more work. Wherever you are, 30 more seconds. That's all you have for ab work for today. As after these, so squeeze, kick, be proud of yourself. You've already made it. 10 more seconds. See what you can show up for yourself. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay, release everything down. I mean it this time. I promise. We are done with ab work. Rolling onto your bellies, however you get there, taking your time. Set up for a little bit of Sphynx Pose for yourself. Take your time to get there. Just simple shoulders stacking over your elbows, shoelace sides of the feet on the ground. You're looking about a foot or two in front of you. Depending how hard you just worked your abs, you'll feel that in this. Nice, beautiful stretch for the abdomen. The neck even, you can incorporate into it. You might kind of look up and inhale and maybe tapping the right cheek to the right shoulder. Then inhale, looking up again. Exhale, taking it to the other side. Tapping left cheek to left shoulder. And maybe allowing this to become more circular, dropping the head down. Just taking some nice, slow, gentle neck rolls here. A couple times in each direction. And then releasing down to the mat. When you feel ready, you might extend your hands alongside your body, palms pressing down. Activate the shoelace sides of the feet into the mat. Lift your kneecaps up, squeeze your glutes, and then begin to float your feet, your hands, squeezing the glutes, lifting the chest. Gaze is down onto the mat about 6 inches in front of you. A little bit of a locust here. Squeezing, lifting. Take a big inhale. Feel that belly expand into the earth. And then on the exhale, lowers you down. Letting everything just get heavy. Kind of resetting here. And we'll set up, if you liked that locust, we'll do it again. You might even this time take a little bit of a bow and bend your knees. Wherever you are though, inhale, fill the lungs as you begin to lift, reaching with the hands. Maybe you bend the knees and grab the feet for a little bit of a bow here. Squeezing the glutes. Taking a big breath in these postures, that's what'll get you through it. Wherever you are, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then lower back down gently to the mat, taking your time. Letting everything go along. Make a little pillow for your forehead with your left forearm. Reach back with your right arm. Maybe grab that right foot, bend the knee. Push your thighs into each other to protect the knee. Taking a little bit of a quad stretch here. Just like in bow, kind of kicking into that right hand. Noticing your breath, noticing your attention, where your thoughts go. Couple more breaths here. We did a lot of leg work today, so opportunity here for some quad loving. And then letting that right leg go long, taking it to the other side when you feel ready. Little pillow for the forehead with that right forearm, reaching back with the left arm, maybe grabbing the left ankle or left foot, squeezing those thighs together, and then just letting yourself melt, kicking into that left hand a little bit, just feeling the quad open up. Yoga gives us strength and flexibility. One of the only athletic endeavors that does both. So just enjoy this. Couple more breaths here. Awesome. And then letting your left leg go long. Take your time to push up into your tabletop. Once you get there, you know what feels good. Some arches, some curls, some side to side. Any authentic movement that might feel good here. Really give yourself that opportunity. Let your knees take up some more space. Maybe pushing back into a child's. Maybe you want a couple more side to sides before you do so. And then when you feel ready, making your way into child's pose, allowing your hips to rest over your heels. Same thing we did in the beginning of practice, but might feel a little bit different now that you've warmed up. We've created this fire, built this heat in the body. Now we can use it. We've kind of gotten out of the way of our nervous system, let it know that we're in rest and repair. Everything's cool. Now it can just clear out any toxins, any lactic acid that's built up, any tension that we can let go of, that we don't need to be holding. Five more breaths here. See if you can trace the path as it comes in through your nose, goes through the back of your throat, fills your lungs, and then travels out the opposite way. Maybe you take the deepest breath you've taken today, right here. If you feel super comfy, take your time. No rush at all. But if you're ready to come out, take your time, kind of pushing through table, and then find your way onto your seat. Legs facing forward. So I always like to give the option of just a straight-legged forward fold or kind of more of a butterfly bent knee pose. I always find the straight-legged forward fold is more for like my hamstrings and my neck, but the butterfly pose always gets more into my hips and my low back. So if there's one of those that's kind of calling to you to start with, I'm going to go butterfly, but you have the option of just straightening your leg as well. But whichever one you're doing, take an in-breath, let your spine go nice and long, and then on the exhale, begin to hinge forward, finding a forward fold. Another thing I love about these folds is the opportunity to let your neck hang heavy. We are just constantly looking at screens, phones, tablets, TVs, driving, and it just feels incredible to let your neck hang heavy here. Letting all of those muscles that work much harder than they need to get a well-deserved break. And if you had started your forward fold with your legs either bent or straight, feel free to come out, switch it up. It doesn't have to be a static hold. It's whatever feels best for you. This should feel comfortable, Should feel productive. You know your body best. Noticing if you sink into thought, if you've left to what you're doing next or what you did before this. One more big breath here. And then slowly making your way out of the forward fold, you can lie down onto your backs. I'll just turn sideways for the camera. But you can lie down however you get there. And then bend your left knee, place your left sole of the foot on the ground. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left knee, bending the right knee. A little bit of a figure four here. You might even like to play with any of the variations. Maybe you interlace your hands behind your left thigh. Maybe you're picking your left foot off the ground and even extending it long. Maybe just holding exactly like it was in the beginning is just perfect. But we did a lot of leg work today, so play around, see what feels good, honor your body. I recommend keeping your right foot flexed to protect the knee. I like to press very gently, I like to press the inner right thigh away from me a little bit. There's so many variations, so many little muscles in these hips of ours, so see what feels good for you. And then follow your breath. Two more big breaths wherever you are. You might feel perfectly comfortable where you are. Maybe you take your time switching up, taking it to the other side, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. Any variations that you'd like to try on. Two more big breaths here. Taking your time, releasing out of the posture, letting everything go long. Bend your right knee, pull it into your chest, avoid the rib cage. A little bit of a wind removing here. You might interlace your hands on your right shin. Just pulling in a little bit of a squeeze for that hip flexor. Big breath in. And then taking it to the other side, letting the right leg go long, pulling the left knee into the chest, avoiding the rib cage. Big breath in. And then letting the soles of the feet land on the mat, bending the knees. Your arms can go out wide to the side, take up a lot of space. Take a nice inhale and then drop the knees to the left, looking over your right shoulder. Multiple variations here as well exist. Your right leg, your top right leg can expand long. It can even kind of interlace and cross over your left. Just try to see if you can maintain groundedness through your shoulders, both of your shoulders through this. Gravity does a lot of the work for these reclined spinal twists. All we really have to do is get out of the way and remind our body that it's safe, that it can rest and restore. We take a lot of rest every day for hours at a time, but the quality of the rest can mean a lot. So really remind yourself that these restful postures are there to be productive for all of the work that you've put in. All the squats, all the lunges. These restful postures are just as important. If you love where you are, no rush at all to follow along, but if you're ready to take it to the other side, you might slowly bring the knees towards center and then taking it to the other side, dropping the knees towards the right, playing around with looking over the left shoulder, maybe extending the left leg long, just seeing whatever feels good for you. Tracing the flow of breath. One more big breath wherever you are. And slowly making your way back towards center. Extend the heels up towards the sky one last time for a little bit of a hamstring. You might even bend the knees, grab the toes, a little bit of a happy baby. Maybe some rocking side to side. Whatever feels good here. One last opportunity to check in with your body, see what feels right before setting up for Shavasana, arguably the most important pose of class. Letting your toes kind of drop out to the side. Take up a lot of space here, just getting nice and heavy. Your eyes can shut. If you have a towel or a blanket, you might even place it over your eyes. Beginning to imagine this feeling of bright sunlight coming from the top of your head and beginning to flow through the body, almost like the body is like a jug. Just this, you can imagine this liquid sunlight, kind of honey, flowing down through the body and then beginning to fill, starting with the toes, ankles, shins, calf muscles. You're just watching as this quality of sunlight flows up through the knees, thighs, up past the waist, filling the area of the low back, pelvis, releasing any tension. Can picture it kind of melting away any lactic acid or toxins up through the trunk, upper back and chest. Just watching as it flows down the arms into the fingers, filling up the neck, the jaw, facial muscles in the head. Just watching as your whole body is just filled with this quality of liquid sunshine, maybe even expanding a couple inches beyond the body. And then letting go of the visualization, letting go of any distractions at all, just letting your mind be free for a moment. Beginning to come back into the room, the space, noticing any sounds. Maybe wiggling the fingers and the toes, a little bit of a stretch, anything that feels good. You might roll onto your side in a fetal position. You might stay exactly where you are if you're just in bliss. If you'd like to end the practice seated, you might push up through that fetal position and find your way into whatever comfortable seat is good for you. Maybe with the eyes still shut. Take a big inhale. Let it go. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for coming into the studio and joining us online. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have happy holidays, and we will be back every day at 9 a.m. Namaste.